Welcome back, everybody. We're diving into Psalms today.
Psalms,
81 through 90.
oh, wow.
A whole chunk of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
looking forward to this.
Me too.
Really some kind of heavy themes in this set.
For sure, for sure.
Hope and strength.
Yeah.
And divine promises. And I always think about, even though these Psalms,
Every player.
thousands of years old, they still speak to what we're going through today.
It's amazing, right? Like you read them and you're like,
Yeah.
I felt that this morning.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Totally.
So we're going to be exploring Psalms 81, 82, 83, 84, and 85
Okay.
in this first part.
Right.
And so let's jump right in with Psalm 81.
Okay.
This one starts with a really powerful invitation
It is.
from God, urging his people to come back.
Yeah. To
And
return to him.
it's not just an invitation. There's that really striking line in there.
Oh, yeah.
Open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it.
Wow.
I mean, talk about a challenge.
Yeah. Well, and a promise, right?
Right.
It's both.
Yeah.
Like, how much are we willing to actually believe that?
Yeah. Are we willing to actually open our mouths that wide?
Right. And for him to actually fill it
Yeah.
with what he has,
Yeah.
that's,
It's a little scary.
yeah, it is kind of scary.
You think about it.
It's a bit terrifying, right?
A bit.
But exciting at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So,
To me, it raises the question of surrender.
right.
Like, how often do we actually open ourselves to that provision
Yeah.
without trying to
Control it.
control it? Yeah.
Totally.
And that's a tough one
It is. It is.
for any of us
Yeah.
to really grapple with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to Psalm 82.
Okay.
This one shifts the focus a little bit to justice,
Yeah.
both God's justice
Right.
and how we should be
Reflecting it.
reflecting it
In our
that.
action.
There's a really powerful call to action in this psalm. And it reminds us that God's justice
Yeah.
isn't passive.
It's not.
It requires us to defend the poor and the fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and the needy.
Yeah. And
There's not just some
it's not an abstract concept. Right.
abstract theological concept.
It's a mandate to actually engage with the world.
Yeah, it definitely connects with that idea of social justice.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it pushes us beyond
It does.
awareness.
It pushes us beyond.
It calls us to participate.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
It calls for
Active
participation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It challenges us to really
Yeah.
examine our lives
Absolutely.
and ask how we're embodying God's justice in our actions.
In practical ways, right? Like,
Yeah.
are we actually doing these things?
Yeah. Are we speaking up for the marginalized?
Yeah.
Are we using
Or resources.
our resources and influence
to make,
to create a more just world?
a more just world.
Those are some heavy questions to ponder.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Psalm 83.
Okay.
I feel like the mood shifts here a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
It feels more like a plea for protection,
Yeah. It's a very,
a desperate cry
it's a very,
for God to intervene
yeah. Yeah.
when we're surrounded by enemies.
It is, it's raw. It's honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like he's really putting it all out there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I need you.
Yeah. But even in the midst of that struggle,
Yeah.
there's this powerful affirmation
Of God's sovereignty that men may know
that thou, whose name alone is Jehovah,
is the most high over all the earth.
So even when surrounded by enemies
Yeah.
and feeling threatened, he still
recognizes
that God is
in control.
ultimately in control.
Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
A reminder that even in the darkest moments, God is still in control.
Yes.
Okay. I think I need a more uplifting psalm now.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
What about Psalm 84?
Oh, yeah. This is a good one.
This one's good.
This is a really beautiful
Yeah.
expression
Yeah.
of longing for God's presence.
Yeah. It paints this picture.
Yes.
Finding joy and fulfillment.
Yeah.
Being close to God. There's that line in there, for a day in thy courts is better than 1,000.
Yeah. It's so good.
What do you make of that?
I think he's saying that there's no place he'd rather be than with God.
Yeah. And to me, it speaks to that deep desire for belonging.
Yeah.
Like,
if you're home.
that we find our home in God.
Yes. That's good.
And it's not just about feeling good.
Right.
This psalm also highlights like the tangible blessings that come from walking with God.
From walking with God.
No good thing will he withhold
right
from them that walk uprightly.
That's a promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So meaning he's not holding back
He's not holding back
on those who are seeking him
Nope.
and trying to live, right?
Yeah,
That's pretty reassuring.
it is.
Okay, let's round out this first part
Yeah.
with Psalm 85.
Okay.
This one seems to be about restoration
Yes.
and longing for
Spiritual renewal.
renewal.
Yeah.
It's a cry for revival,
It is.
both individually
Yeah.
and collectively.
Electively. Yeah.
The psalmist asks, "Wilt thou not revive us again, that thy people may rejoice in thee?"
So good.
This yearning
Yeah.
for God
To breathe life.
to breathe new life
New life.
into a weary soul,
A weary soul.
a disillusioned community.
It's a sentiment.
It echoes across the centuries,
Across the centuries, yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it definitely resonates,
Yeah.
especially in a world
That can feel
that can feel so spiritually
empty.
empty at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this psalm reminds us that God is the source of true revival
Mm-hmm.
and that he's always willing to meet us where we are.
He is.
I think we've covered a lot of ground
We have.
already.
We have.
But don't go anywhere, because in part 2,
Yeah.
we'll be diving even deeper into Psalms 86 through 90.
Okay. You know what's really interesting to me?
Yeah.
How personal these psalms are. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like you're really eavesdropping
Yeah.
on somebody's conversation with God.
Yeah, it makes them so
It
relatable,
really does.
even though they were written thousands of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready to jump into Psalm 86?
I am.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So this psalm is just
Overflowing.
overflowing with David's pleas
For mercy and forgiveness.
and forgiveness. Yeah.
It's a good reminder
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
even the people that we consider heroes of the faith
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
messed up
Yeah.
and needed forgiveness and grace.
And there's that line.
Yeah.
For thou, Lord, art good and ready to forgive.
I love that line.
It's so simple,
It's so simple.
yet so profound,
Yeah.
you know?
It's so true, though.
Yeah, it really speaks volumes about God's character,
It does.
doesn't it?
It does,
That
yeah.
His forgiveness isn't something that we earn.
No.
It's a gift
It is a gift.
that's freely given,
freely given.
no matter how badly,
how badly we've messed up. God's grace
is always
is always available.
available.
That's incredibly reassuring.
It is.
But I have to admit,
Yeah.
it's a truth that I have to constantly remind myself of.
I too.
Okay,
Okay.
let's move on to Psalm 87.
Okay.
This one focuses on Zion,
Yeah.
a place that held deep
Symbolic meaning
symbolic meaning,
for the Israelites.
through the Israelites.
Yeah.
So it was more than just
It wasn't just a location.
right.
It represented God's
Presence.
his dwelling place among his people.
So when the psalmist sings,
Yeah.
glorious things are spoken of thee, you city of God.
It's pointing to that spiritual reality
Yeah.
that transcends the earthly boundary.
So it's about recognizing our true citizenship.
Yes.
Like our
Ultimate home.
ultimate home is
with God,
with God.
even while we're on this
Yeah.
earthly journey.
Psalm 87 offers a powerful perspective shift.
It does.
It reminds us to keep our eyes fixed on eternity,
Yes.
the ultimate reality of
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
in God's presence.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for Psalm 88,
Okay.
out of all the songs that we've looked at so far,
Yeah.
this one feels
We're most raw.
emotionally charged.
Yeah. Doesn't
It's a
hold
lot-
back.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot to
Yeah.
take in.
Yeah. Some scholars actually say
That this is the only psalm that doesn't end on a note of hope.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or resolution.
So it just leaves you
Just kind of leaves you
hanging.
hanging. Yeah.
But even in its darkness,
Mm-hmm.
there's a profound truth
Yeah.
embedded within it.
I think so.
What do you mean?
Well, even though the psalmist
Yeah.
is engulfed in despair,
Mm-hmm.
even when he feels abandoned
Yeah. Yeah.
by God,
Yeah.
he never stops crying out.
So just raw honesty
Raw honesty.
in the face of suffering.
Was itself an act of faith?
So it's not about always feeling happy or
Mhm.
confident. It's about choosing to cling to God,
Yes.
even when we're drowning in doubt
Yeah.
and pain.
Yeah, this gives us permission
Yeah.
to be real
Yeah.
with God,
Yeah.
to bring those.
Our messy emotions to him without pretense.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Like, come as you are,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Don't clean yourself up.
Yeah.
Just come.
Yeah. Just be real.
That is incredibly liberating.
It is.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's wrap up this section with Psalm 90.
All right.
This one takes a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
It's reflecting
On
the fleeting nature
of human life.
of human life compared to
God's eternity.
God's eternity.
Yeah.
It's a psalm that
Forces us
forces us to confront our own mortality.
to confront our own mortality.
And that verse,
Yeah.
so teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom.
It's a powerful call
It's a powerful call, yeah.
to make each moment count,
Yeah.
to live intentionally.
I always found that verse
Yeah.
both sobering and inspiring.
It is.
It's a reminder that our time is precious.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't
Waste it.
waste it on
Trivial pursuits.
trivial pursuits.
Yeah.
So it's not meant to make us
Morbid.
morbid or fearful of death,
No.
but rather
Just awaken us.
to awaken us
To
to
the gift.
the gift of life.
Yeah.
And to live in a way that honors God.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I think we've really gone deep with these last few Psalms.
We have.
It's amazing how much wisdom
Yeah.
and insight they contain.
We really do. We've explored a lot of heavy themes,
Yeah.
but there's one more layer
Okay.
I think we should unpack before wrapping up.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What's this last layer? Okay. I'm intrigued. What's this last layer?
Well, we've talked about the emotional honesty,
Mm-hmm.
the pleas for justice, the
Yeah.
comfort in God's presence.
Right.
But there's this thread that ties all these songs together.
Okay.
It's this persistent
Yeah.
affirmation of God's character.
You're right.
Yeah.
Each psalm, in its own way,
Uh-huh.
paints a picture of who God is.
Yeah.
Just
Mm-hmm.
merciful,
Compassionate.
compassion.
Slow to anger, abounding in steadfast love.
Right. Yeah.
And
And that focus on God's character,
Yeah.
it's not just poetic flourish.
Right.
It's foundational to understanding these songs.
And really, our whole faith journey.
Why do you say that?
Well, because when life throws those curveballs,
Yeah.
the betrayals, the
Mhm.
losses,
Right.
the moments that make us question everything,
Yeah.
it's the unwavering truth
Mm-hmm.
of God's character
Yeah.
that anchors us.
It's like that's what we can hold on to
Yeah.
when everything else is shaking.
Exactly, because knowing that God is inherently good, even when his actions seem mysterious or painful,
Yeah.
allows us to hold on to.
And
Yeah.
allows us to
Yeah.
say, okay, I don't understand what's happening right now, but I know that God is still good.
Yeah.
He's still in control.
He is,
And he still loves me.
and he still loves you.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into
Mhm.
Psalms 81 through 90,
Mm-hmm.
what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away from this?
I hope that they're encouraged to go back and reread these Psalms.
Yeah.
Like really savor the poetry and let those truths just go in.
Soak in.
Yeah. These ancient words have so much to offer us. Even in our modern world, they remind us we're not alone
Right.
in our struggles,
Yeah.
that God is present
In the highs and the lows.
in the highs and the lows, and that his love for us never fails.
Never fails.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope it's been both enriching and encouraging.
Yeah.
Until next time,
Yeah.
may you find peace and solace in the enduring truths
Yes.
of God's word.